a small island off the west coast of Canada. Here, 7 years ago, an extraordinary event occurred. A wolf named Takaya swam from the mainland and made this remote island his home. His only company is Cheryl, who lives with her family on nearby Vancouver Island.
One day, and it was Mother's Day, we were just drifting through the center, and it was just kind of at sunset, and I looked back and I saw this wolf, and he started to howl, and he howled and howled, and it was the most amazing experience. It was right. It made you feel like crying almost. It was so powerful.
Cheryl believes Takaya's howls are ones of loneliness.
You know, to see him over alone all those years there has been hard in a way, because he's a social creature. He's a pack animal. He has no family.
She hopes that one day Takaya will find a mate. Cheryl has been coming to Discovery Island with her family for decades. But more recently, they've been making new memories with Takaya, whom Cheryl named after the First Nations word for wolf.
He definitely has a very large place in our family. He's been something that I've shared with my children, my husband, who laughingly says he's lost his wife to a wolf, my grandchildren, because they come out with me looking for the wolf, and they all know my stories about the wolf. They laugh at me a little bit, poke fun at me, because, you know, Mom is going out to the island again, like, what is she doing? But I think they also love it.
When her family has to leave, Cheryl stays on the island to track down Takaya.
Generally, Takaya is very hard to find. Most people who go out to the islands would not ever see him. I often have a really good sense of where he is. I can see him probably where most other people would never see him. He's a companion. When I'm in his presence, I just feel peaceful. But essentially, he trusts me, and he's learned to know me. It's his only real connection with another being. He may consider me to be a part of his family.
Even though Cheryl has dedicated years to Takaya, there is still so much mystery surrounding him.
A lot of how he got to the island is pretty unknown, and probably will always be unknown. I think he swam. Could have come from as far away as the mainland, way up north, because wolves, when they disperse, travel really long distances. And then he ended up in habitation where people were. He probably just kept going, had to cross highways, and eventually made it to the coast, and he turned right and ended up going along and found the islands, saw them in the distance maybe, and went, no houses over there, no people, I'm gonna go. Looks like the wilderness.
Since arriving, Takaya has learned to live like no other wolf in the world, surviving almost entirely off seals. But Cheryl is worried something is missing from his life.
I think, yes, sometimes his howls sound very lonely to me and very mournful. And I think, as you know, dogs get sad. Wolves, I'm sure, get sad. You know, to see him alone all those years there has been hard in a way, because he's a social creature. He's a pack animal. He has no family. He just needs to wait for the mate to come. And I don't think he's given up. Every mating season, he howls like crazy, and that's 7 years he's been howling and waiting for a mate.
Cheryl knows that the chance of a wolf making this crossing are extremely remote. But then Cheryl gets a call from a neighbor who lives very close to the islands.
And Cheryl, you're the wolf lady, right?
I'm the wolf lady.
Yeah. I was looking out the window and I passed him binoculars. He says, "The wolf!" And it was probably 50 meters from right in front of our house on the beach.
Thanks, bye.
Bye-bye.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I never would have imagined this happening. Are you kidding me? A wolf so close to where he is. I'm stunned. For a wolf to come through the city again and end up in virtually the same place is almost impossible. Profile is quite different and has a much thinner, longer snout, looks like, and no black stripes that Takaya has down the front of his legs. Gonna go out to the island, see if I can find Takaya. I mean, I'm almost 100% certain this is not the same wolf in the photograph as him. I'd love to try and find this other wolf, but part of me just goes, oh, wow, company. I mean, how nice for Takaya, as long as they got along.
Cheryl heads out to the island to see if the new wolf has been able to make the treacherous crossing. She also shared the photos with a number of wolf experts, all of whom thought she was most likely a female. After years of living without a pack, has Takaya finally got his first chance of starting a family of his own?
I'm so nervous about this because if it was a female, I mean, the romantic part of me thinks this would be wonderful. Like, oh my God, if he had a female and if he liked the female. Not all wolves will mate up with just any wolf.
The search starts off promising.
See where he's just walking along the tide line here?
Fresh prints found on a beach, but only one set.
Probably was walking here around 3 in the morning.
Days pass by without any more signs of Takaya or the new wolf. Did he not know that another wolf was so close by?
If Takaya doesn't howl, will the other wolf know to go over?
But then Cheryl finds something unusual.
There's prints, yeah. There's. It's so hard to tell whether. It actually almost looks like there's 2 as well. It's weird.
2 sets of footprints side by side in the sand.
They look like they're almost made at the same time.
Does this mean that the new wolf has found her way to the island?
Maybe he is on this island. Maybe they are on this island.
With newfound optimism, the search continues. And eventually Cheryl finds Takaya resting on one of his favorite bluffs.
Does this ever get old?
No, never. Every time I feel almost moved to tears, actually. I just look at him and think, wow, your life out here. Pretty amazing. I mean, how amazing he trusts us like this, hey? Being given the presence of a wild wolf is a complete gift. It's hard to describe what that's like.
But Cheryl's joy at finding Takaya is dampened by the fact that he is still alone. The footprints spotted earlier that day were probably his own as he circled his small island home. But Cheryl hasn't given up hope for him yet.
I am still expecting to see her. If this wolf howled, He would certainly know there's a wolf there. I'm sure he would hear it. It's not that far across. And I expect at one day I will come out there and I'll see these 2 wolf forms.
Cheryl heads back to the mainland, leaving Takaya alone on his island, hoping that one day he'll find the mate he's been waiting for.
I think it would be wonderful if the energy of her and of him were able to get together at some point and for him to have a bit of company.